Hello again. Welcome back to That's English.
Oh, hello. So, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. What's the value of c if a equals 7 and b equals 24?
That's easy. 25.
Impressive. You've certainly got a head for numbers. I was turned off maths at school by an awful teacher. One year I was even bottom of the class.
Well, today's documentary looks at how to make maths more fun by using magic, such as card tricks. Let's watch.
Mathematics and magic. At first, the two seem like an odd combination. But mathematics is behind many technologies that were once thought of as magical. Peter McGowan is using magic to teach mathematics. He explains what maths magic is all about.
It's a red card, it's a red card. Maths magic, in its simplest form, is magic where the kind of hidden secret technique to it is mathematical. And the sorts of areas that it's been applied to are obviously card tricks, because if you think about it, a card pack is 52 data elements, if you want to think of them about that. So a nice way to get people interested in maths.
Peter tells us what inspired him to use magic in the classroom.
Magic produces a genuine emotional hook to begin with, so that the students are drawn into something where there is a mystery presented to them.
Maths is traditionally seen as a difficult and sometimes boring subject at school. But teaching maths through magic is just one example of how this subject has reinvented itself. Some teachers have taken to rapping in the classroom to keep the subject fun and fresh.
And remember, one card.
Peter teaches computer science. His use of maths magic has proved a popular and effective way of teaching his students.
The sorts of tricks that I use are ones where there is some clear magical effect. They've got to catch the attention, they've got to provide that emotional hook, but they've also got to have mathematics behind them that are sufficiently interesting and applicable to the area that I happen to be teaching at the time. Is the way that your body
Peter is performing a trick where numbers on a piece of paper match the cards that each student has dealt out.
We got that number. Sophia, can you open that little box for me, and can you pull out the piece of paper that was in there right from the very beginning, and can you read out loudly for everyone else around you the number that I predicted?
3, 5, 6, 8, 7, 9, 1, 4, 2.
This trick works because of one of my favourite pieces of mathematics. It's a piece of mathematics I use all the time, which is algebra. Let's call the number of cards in that pack up there B0. Okay? That's just a number. In that case, it was for those students who are interested in maths. They can see how the very simple maths often that they're learning can actually be applied to much more complex and interesting systems. But equally, those students who previously were very turned off by maths, and he would say, what's the point of mathematics, suddenly realise that there's actually a kind of use for them in being able to perform these kinds of tricks. So even if they don't end up loving mathematics, at least they're less likely to go around saying bad things about it.
Maths is an important issue in the UK today, as 1 out of 5 adults are innumerate. It means some people have difficulties working out their change when they go shopping, or helping their children with homework. These people are twice as likely to be unemployed as those who are numerate. Sophia Cusano is a student who has given numbers a second chance.
I was terrible at maths at school. I was bottom of the class. I just couldn't visualise abstract concepts when it came to algebra. I thought the magic was a brilliant way to understand what was actually going on with the algebra, because the cards actually helped you to visualise what was going on. So it wasn't just an abstract concept, you could actually relate it to something real that was happening in front of you.
Magic intrigues and entertains audiences. Maths has a reputation for putting people to sleep, but together they produce an effective learning tool that could help more and more people see the magic in maths.
Magic certainly makes maths more interesting. Peter said it produces an emotional hook which draws students in or attracts them.
And Sophia explained well how it helped her.
I was terrible at maths at school. I was bottom of the class. I just couldn't visualise abstract concepts when it came to algebra. I thought the magic was a brilliant way to understand what was actually going on with the algebra, because the cards actually helped you to visualise what was going on. So it wasn't just an abstract concept, you could actually relate it to something real that was happening in front of you.
I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to visualise abstract concepts and understand algebra, but I might try magic maths.
Another interesting area involving maths is statistics.
You know that famous quote, there are 3 kinds of lies. Lies, damned lies, and statistics.
Well, we asked our international friends, can you quote any statistics which characterise your country?
One of the biggest statistics I can quote to characterize Jamaica is that of its ethnic makeup. So 90% of Jamaica's population is of West African descent. 0.2% is Chinese, 0.2% is European, and the rest of the percentage is a mix of things like Lebanese or Jewish or a host of other nations.
Statistics? Well, New Zealand has 5 million people and 50 million sheep, and I think that says everything.
The population of South Africa is around 54 million at present. Unfortunately, about 5.51 million people are infected with HIV that we know of.
There's a big wealth divide in the cities of Scotland. In Glasgow, the least wealthiest part has a life expectancy of 55, whereas the most wealthy, the life expectancy is 85.
Well, what I read recently was that America imprisons 25% of all people incarcerated in the world, but we only have 5% of the population of the world in the United States.
One thing is that in London we have 8 million people, and England's quite a small country, so I think that shows how popular the city is. Nearly everyone that moves to England will probably want to come to London, and even though it's very busy, it's very popular, very busy.
So, more than 10% of the population of South Africa is infected with HIV.
And there's a 30-year difference in the life expectancy between the poorest and wealthiest people in Glasgow.
It's funny, though, that New Zealand has 10 times more sheep than people.
Well, in the USA, there are cattle rather than sheep. And today, Jodie's visiting a ranch to find out more about them.
She also visits a town called Tarpon Springs, which has a curious industry. Let's watch.
Again. Today we're on the west coast of Florida in Tarpon Springs. Now you may think Florida's all about vacations and fun, but today we're actually going to look at the working environment. Tarpon Springs is a charming, eclectic city with the highest percentage of Greek Americans in the United States. Tarpon Springs is known as the sponge capital of the world. They might look like plants, but sea sponges are actually porous animals that grow on the floor of the ocean. I'm here with George of St. Nicholas Boat Lines. George, what are the origins of the sponge industry here in Tarpon Springs?
It started right at the turn of the century. They went to Greece and they brought in the Greek sponge divers. And from something like less than $200,000 a year, they went to about $15 million a year.
And tell us about the Greek community that thrives here.
Well, at one point in time, there was a 75% Greek population. I would say today you have something like 10,000 or 12,000 Greek people or Greek descent.
And explain for us the traditional method of sponge diving that we'll see today, of going down and gathering
What
the
you're
sponge.
going to see today is actually how we suit him up. Now you're going to see how we go get the diver overboard.
Let's see what you found here. Oh, wow.
About that.
It
That's
looks
the wool sponge.
amazing. It almost looks like a heart. With such a large Greek community, it's not a surprise to find some fantastic Greek food. After I finish this baklava, I'm going to check out another industry here, ranching. We've come an hour outside of Tarpon Springs to Bartle Brothers Ranch near Dade City. Like several other U.S. states, Florida has a long history of ranching, making the industry a strong part of its roots, culture, and heritage. This ranch has been run by the same hardworking family since 1930. I'm here with Randy out near the barn. Randy, what's a typical workday like?
I usually get up first thing in the morning and feed the horses. Maybe we need them, maybe we don't, but they still want to be fed. And we're feeding, we're fixing fence, planting grass, making hay, working cattle, just whatever we have to do.
About how many hours is your workday?
It could be anywhere from daylight to dark, or it could be less, depending on what we're doing.
And why is ranching so important here in the U.S.?
Well, somebody has to produce food. We can grow cattle on land that you can't farm and you can't do much of anything with, but the cattle can graze on it. And they're such great protein converters. They can take stuff that you can't eat and they can eat it and convert it into an edible protein source.
Great, well, do you have any chores for me to do?
Well, we'll go move a few cows and have to feed some horses and cattle.
All right, sounds like a plan. Well, it sure does take a lot of hard work to run a ranch like this. We'll see you next time in St. Augustine.
I wouldn't like to have been a sponge diver 100 years ago. That suit looked heavy.
Running a ranch looks like hard work too. Randy has to feed the cattle, fix fences, make hay.
He said cattle were great protein converters. They convert grass into edible protein.
Well, that's it for today. Join us next time on That's English.
Bye for now.